foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, nasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks, your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, stink, stank, stunk.
Thank you to Ian Joyle for getting us started in this Christmas message. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I just love that verse, stink, stank, stunk. Welcome, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Welcome wherever you are, whoever you are. It's a delight to be able to celebrate the heart of Christmas with you, to be the church with you, and I send you God's blessing. Once upon a time, on a snowy night, a child was abandoned in a little town just outside a brightly lit and Christmas-decorated home. The child could see through the bright windows the festivities that were going on, the people that were having a Christmas party, but no one noticed him. Later at school, a big boy made fun of him. Look, he's already got a beard, he said, laughing at his stubborn whiskers that were growing on the face of the new little boy at school. Later at the Christmas gift exchange that went on at the school, the new boy tried to cover his face and those stubborn whiskers, but the teacher made him take his mask off, and then the whole class laughed at his failed futile attempts to remove those stubborn whiskers, and even the teacher laughed. The little boy blew up and said, I hate Christmas, and stormed out of the classroom. The rest is the story of the Grinch who stole Christmas. Well, I hope everybody has seen that story or read that story, whether it's the 1957 published version when it first came out, Dr. Seuss's The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, or whether it's the first television version of the late 1960s that kids like me watched for the first time, or perhaps the modern Jim Carrey Universal Pictures full-length movie of the Grinch, that green Grinch played by Jim Carrey. It's already 19 or 20 years old, so parents, grandparents, it just might be time to resurrect that story for a new generation. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas tells us this story of how one's heart is opened for Christmas. Well, I hope that your Christmas is awesome this year, but we understand if it's not, if ever there's been a year that Christmas might be Grinch-like, this could be it. I mean, there's always reasons to not feel festive at the holidays, but this year in particular, we might be having some more anxiety, some more sadness. We might be a little more wore out. We might be more pinched financially. We are certainly leery and cautious about being with others. What kind of a Christmas is this? And here it is, our Christmas worship. What kind of a Christmas is this? We're not able to stand and raise our voices in those favorite moments. One of my favorite moments, "Oh, come, all ye faithful." What kind of a Christmas is this? We're not standing together and hearing that Christmas gospel read for us. In those days, a decree went out from the Emperor Augustus that all the world should be enrolled. What kind of Christmas is this? We're not holding aloft our shimmering candles together and seeing that bright lights, hundreds in our midst, shining the light of Christ and singing Silent Night. What kind of a Christmas is this? Well, ironically, it's a Christmas that has more in common with the first Christmas than we might realize. We remember that first Christmas, an oppressive empire pronounces a registration, a taxation that forced a young mother in the last days of her pregnancy and her boyfriend to take an arduous, dangerous journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem, forced as they were under that regime to enter the dark journey and the dangerous journey. Their trip along the way becomes difficult and arduous. She was an unmarried teenager. He was devoted to her, but trying to understand how she could be with child before they had relations. A despotic king wanted to slaughter the child and sent wise men spies to locate where the child would be born. And arriving in that little town, packed with people forced there for the registration and the taxation, there was no place for them. A horrendously unsanitary barn becomes the labor and delivery room. What kind of Christmas is this? The Grinch couldn't open his heart to Christmas. Things had happened, and as a result, he missed it. The signs were all around, but he missed it. He missed it. He missed it. Glimpses were there. One day he stole all the presents of the Who's in Whoville, only then to discover the heart of Christmas. And this is a particularly biblical moment in this old story, this moment where his eyes are opened. While the empire announced a taxation, a registration, in order to turn people into statistics, something we've been tempted to do in this challenging year, turn people into numbers. While all of that was going on, God is revealed in an infant to be held, an infant that absorbs our attention, an infant that holds us and reveals God to us in our most vulnerable, un-Christmas-like moments. It's a most biblical moment in the story that God appears as an infant, and then later when the child becomes an adult and his followers argued about what it would mean to be great in a time, as in all humanity, when we try to qualify ourselves by our credentials and our status and position ourselves for greatness. When even Jesus' followers themselves were arguing about what it meant to be great, Jesus put his arms around a child. The Grinch's heart was open to Christmas that night when Cindy Lou Who heard noises downstairs. Her family was asleep, but she heard something and she tiptoed downstairs and she saw the Grinch stealing the presents, even their tree. She asks who he is and what's he doing, and she asks him, "Why aren't you with your family?" It's not good to be alone at Christmas, Cindy Lou Who says to the Grinch. The Grinch soon discovered the very next day that in spite of stealing the presents, the Who's of Whoville still celebrated. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing without any presents at all. He looked down in dismay and discovered that Christmas came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And here was the most shocking realization of all. Maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Perhaps Christmas means a little bit more. Can we discover Christmas when we least expect it? Do you see the signs of life yet around you, even when it seems that something else has taken over? Or as Jesus would ask, as he taught about the essence of God and human life, do you not realize that it is necessary for me to suffer in order that my glory would be revealed, in order to redeem, in order to rescue humanity? So ask yourself this question in this Christmas 2020. Ask yourself this question: just who is the Grinch this Christmas? At what point do we cease to be victims of our circumstances and recognize that there is life all around? At what point do we turn around and open up? And at what point do we become among those who are the agents of God's healing and serving and saving presence? When do we, in the midst of everything, join the celebration? When the Grinch looked down from the rocky crag of his mountain over the top of Whoville, he saw that in spite of his efforts, Christmas had arrived. The Whos of Whoville came together and joined hands, and they were singing even without presents. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came just the same. They say that the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day, that heart that had been driven to smallness and fear. It grew 3 sizes that day, and he wasted no time sliding down that hill and joining the celebration, even himself carving the roast beast. It's not good to be alone at Christmas. That's God's message. Jesus has come to be the heart of Christmas, to open our hearts to Christmas. We are not alone. That is God's message. God is with us, and if you are fortunate enough this year to be with others celebrating Christmas right now, turn to someone nearest you and tell them, Merry Christmas. But if you are alone, know this: you are not. You are not alone. God is with you. And right now, open your heart to receive him, to give thanks, to welcome God, to say, thank you, God, for being with me and opening my life to you and to the heart of Christmas. And then if you're alone, well, and if you're able, reach out to someone, call someone, text somebody, email someone, tell someone, if in any way possible, Merry Christmas. Because God is with us, as the Grinch would say, Christmas will always be as long as we are we. Merry Christmas.